I'm doing my best to write this as fast as I can. I need to get the truth out there and I don't have much time left. I'm going right after I finish this, but I need to get the truth out there. People need to know what happened at Lewis County High School on March 16th. Whatever the news is telling you is wrong. Whatever the school officials are telling you is wrong, and whatever you're reading on Twitter is wrong. I'm going to tell you what really happened, because I was there. I understand it's going to be a little hard to believe at first, but the more you look at the evidence, the more you're going to see that I'm right. To begin, let me explain who I am so you understand where I'm coming from. My name is Kevin. I was your typical overachiever. I lived to study. I got the best grades in every class I was in, and most people knew that I was going places someday. I had a small clique of friends, and they were similar to me, although I was the undisputed leader. My girlfriend and I had a wonderful relationship, and very few people had anything bad to say about us. Her name was Olivia. She was the best thing that ever happened to me, and there will always be a place in my heart for that sweet girl. On the day it happened, I was in my computer programming class finishing up an assignment with my girlfriend. The computer lab was right next to an exit, so we were really close to those emergency speakers. The sound was deafening. My teacher rushed over to the door and locked it. He then instructed the class to get under the tables. We had no idea if it was a drill or the real thing. Nobody said a word the entire time. We sat there in complete silence. Everyone seemed extremely nervous. We all knew that school shootings were becoming more and more common, but we just weren't prepared for this. It must have been at least 15 minutes before anything happened. It sounded very distant at first, and it gradually got closer and closer, until it was the only thing that I could hear. I know everyone around me heard it too. One of my friends looked like he was about to piss his pants. The footsteps got closer and closer to the door. Then they stopped. The following silence seemed to last for hours. I felt my stomach drop, and a girl in the class started sobbing softly into her hands. Olivia started squeezing my hand. The jingling got more and more violent as the moments passed. For a brief moment, I began thinking of the stupidity of this man. Does he really think violently shaking the doorknob is going to unlock it? Well, it appeared that way because he continued for quite some time. I glanced over at my teacher, and he was shaking. He seemed so out of his element. I almost pitied him. I started thinking of an exit strategy. The exit right outside of the door had a long flight of stairs, and there was no way we were going to get past this guy. We couldn't jump out the windows because we were on the second floor. There was no realistic way to get to the air vent, and even if we could, the school made them arbitrarily hard to climb into. There seemed to be no escaping this fate. No escaping this man. No escaping death. I leaned over so I could see the window on the doorway, and I swear to God, I thought I saw the Grim Reaper standing there. Olivia pulled me back and told me not to show any signs we were in here, as if that made any difference. He knew. The sound of gunshots could be heard outside of the room. It appeared as though the man was shooting the doorknob. After a few shots were fired, we all breathed a sigh of relief because he still hadn't been able to get in. That relief evaporated quickly when we heard the doorknob drop to the floor. The girl in the class who'd been sobbing before was now full on crying. We all wanted to as well. We knew what was coming. The man slowly made his way into the room. We all looked up from under the table at the most hideous man any of us had ever seen. His skin looked burned. He had no hair on his head. He had a patchy beard and was dressed in a trench coat that looked like it had been washed in a pile of mud. There was mud dripping off of him onto the floor. He had a number of weapons on him. From what I could tell, at that moment, at least 2 pistols, a machete, a few weapons strapped to his back. I now know it was an AK-47 and a sniper rifle. This guy looked like a one-man army ready to fight the entire world. It's almost ironic in a way. He chose to fight a school of defenseless kids. He walked forward until he was a few steps in front of us. He pointed his pistol at the girl who was crying.
"Get up, bitch,"
The girl started sobbing even louder.
I said, get up, bitch.
She slowly made it to her feet.
Now come give Pop Pop a big old kiss.
The girl was scared to death. Her face was pure red. Tears streamed down her face like it was the Mississippi River. I knew this girl too. She was such a sweetheart. Watching this happen to her was horrifying. She slowly took baby steps until she was standing right in front of him.
Now, who's your daddy?
It sounded like she murmured something between sobs, but nobody could hear it.
I can hear you.
You are Pop Pop.
Good. Now come give me a kiss right here.
He placed his middle finger on the center of his right cheek. She took another step forward and began leaning, closer and closer, until he shot her right through the head. Her lifeless corpse fell to the floor with a thud.
Not enough enthusiasm, bitch.
The group of us that had remained were in shock. Nobody could even move. Pop Pop then got down on the floor next to the poor girl's body and picked it up. He held her in his arms for a moment and looked right into her face.
Such a beautiful girl you are.
He then spun her around. We looked on with a disturbed curiosity for whatever the hell he was gonna do next. He brought his face closer and closer to the bullet hole in her head. My eyes then began to show me something that my brain couldn't process at the time. He started licking the bullet wound in her head. Everyone looked away, repulsed. My teacher started to vomit. Pop Pop stopped and looked at us.
Hey, you fuckers need to watch or I'll kill you too.
There wasn't much of a reaction from us. We continued to watch in disgust, half expecting the same fate as our classmate. Multiple people in the room began sobbing, including my girlfriend, Olivia. She squeezed my hand so hard it started to hurt. Olivia nestled her face into my arm to shield herself from the monster before us. Pop Pop dropped the corpse and looked right at us. My stomach dropped. Olivia didn't move. I don't think she realized the situation.
You.
Olivia turned her head to see that abomination staring directly at her.
What, little bitch can't watch?
She didn't say anything in response. She just stared at him with her beautiful brown eyes. He started walking towards us, and I knew that I had to act fast. No, I shouted. You're not touching her.
Well, well, well. We have a hero here, don't we?
I didn't know what else I could say, so I said the only thing my mind would allow me to. Fuck you. You're a monster, and if you have any sense in that bald head of yours, you'd stick that gun right in your mouth and pull the trigger right now.
You're a little hero, aren't you? Trying to save your girlfriend, huh?
I'm not gonna let you hurt her.
Listen to me, boy. There's nothing you can do to stop me. And just for that little outburst there, I'm gonna make you watch her die.
At that moment, me and Olivia looked up at each other, got up, and ran as fast as we could. When we ran past him, he tried grabbing us, but thankfully we were fast enough to get around him. We made it to the doorway and started running toward the exit. Right before we got through the door, he shot at us. I immediately felt Olivia's pace come to a halt. I looked over, and she was shot in the stomach. I tried dragging her the last little bit, but there was no hope. I knew we were fucked. Olivia, come on, we gotta go. She fainted from blood loss. I turned around to see that Pop Pop was right behind us.
Thought you could run from me?
Fuck you.
Not the answer I was looking for. You're gonna pay for your hate speech, Kevin.
He knocked me down and I hit the floor with a hard thud. He picked up Olivia and made his way down the hall. It felt like my left arm was broken, but I got up, determined to catch that bastard. As I started jogging down the hall, I wondered how the hell he knew my name. That, on top of his superhuman strength, were my first clues leading me to believe that he wasn't human. I did my best to keep up with him, but I had a hard time. He was moving much faster than he had been earlier. The only reason I didn't lose him completely was because of the trail of blood from Olivia's gunshot wound. Part of me contemplated turning around and getting the fuck out of there. But I knew I had to keep going. I knew that if I didn't, she'd probably end up dead. And I knew that I wouldn't be able to live with myself. I knew there wasn't much of a chance that I could save Olivia, but I was going to give it my best shot. After just a few minutes of chasing him, something very lucky happened for me. I saw, out of the corner of my eye, an open locker. Inside of it was a baseball bat. Yes, I quietly whispered to myself with a small ounce of hope. I picked it up and knew I'd have a chance to fight that fucking monster. I continued to follow the blood trail with only the sound of the school alarm still going off to keep me company. After a few minutes, I turned a corner and saw that beast. He still had Olivia, and he was standing right in front of the principal's office. He wasn't facing me, and I snuck up behind him. With the cover of the alarms masking my footsteps, I quietly made my way behind him. Okay, one quick hit over the head should do it, I thought to myself. I released more adrenaline in that moment than I had ever in my entire life. I was scared out of my mind, but I had to save Olivia. I got close enough and got ready to swing. I pulled my arms back and let him have it. What the fuck? The bat broke in half and he didn't even flinch. I had no idea what to do. What the fuck are you?
I am God, and it's time you and I play a little game.
What game is that?
It's called the Do You Want Olivia to Die game.
He then handed me a pistol.
If you don't want Olivia to die, you're going to take this pistol and shoot your own finger off.
Are you fucking crazy? Why don't I just shoot you?
Did you see what happened to the bat? Kevin, do you really think a bullet would do any better?
I stood there for a moment, trying to process everything that was happening. But I can't.
Yes, you can. I'll tell you what. I'm going to make it easy for you. Shoot one of your fingers off before I get to one, or Olivia dies here and now, right in front of your eyes. And you'll have to live with the fact that you killed her, Kevin, not me, you. 3, 2...
Oh God. There. Are you happy? Now let her go.
I'm sorry if you misunderstood me. We're playing a game right now, and that's only the first part.
No, I'm done. I'm not gonna sit here shooting off all my fingers just so you can kill my girlfriend anyway.
Kevin, have some faith in me, boy. I will let her live if you do what I say. You're just gonna have to trust me, but she'll definitely die if you don't play by my rules.
Okay, what's next then? Shoot myself in the kneecap?
Of course not. I just had you shoot your finger off to see if you were dedicated enough. I see now that you're plenty dedicated. You won't be shooting yourself anymore today, unless you choose to do so yourself.
Okay then, what's next?
Follow me, boy.
And with that, I followed him as he walked into the principal's office. I got more and more horrified with each moment that passed. This thing was pure evil. I was sure of it. He went to the door and tried opening it. Upon realizing it was locked, he pulled back his free arm that wasn't holding Olivia and punched the door down. My principal was in the corner and looked scared out of her mind. I started getting sick imagining what he was going to do next. Pop turned around and looked me right in the eye.
Shoot her, or Olivia dies.
By this point, I knew that arguing with him was pointless. With the gun in my right hand, I slowly got ready to shoot. Tears started streaming down the principal's face, and I could feel myself wanting to cry too. I'm sorry, Principal Mattarella.
Good. Now, want to know what your next task is?
You're an evil fuck. You know that? You're going to hell.
I probably should, shouldn't I? With all the pain and misery I've caused, the funny thing is that I won't. I know I won't. God can go to hell. It doesn't work like that, Kevin, but I know who is going to hell. You are. But before you start going all religious on me, I'm gonna need you to take these.
He gave me a handful of matches. What the hell am I supposed to do with these?
Set Mrs. Mattarella on fire.
Are you fucking kidding me?
How many times are you gonna question me, boy? Backtalk me one more time and Olivia dies too.
I wanted to die right then and there, but after all I'd done to save Olivia, I figured it all would have been for nothing if I didn't go through with it. It was traumatic, watching my principal's body burn like that. Even worse knowing I was the one who killed her and set the corpse on fire in the first place. I don't know what changed in me after that moment. I felt dead inside. In retrospect, that's when my innocence died. I couldn't believe what I'd done, and I still can't live with the guilt. We stood there, watching the corpse decompose in the flames for a few minutes. Then, he wanted to go somewhere else.
Come on, you've got one last thing you need to do, and Olivia will be fine.
I didn't even reply. I just followed him when he started to walk. We took the stairs and eventually made our way to the roof of the building. The entire time, I was staring at Olivia. She looked so helpless being carried around by this monster. When we got there, all I could hear was an orchestra of police sirens. There must have been 1,000 police cars out there. We got to the middle of the flat roof and stood there for a moment. Well, he didn't say anything, and it took him a few minutes to finally turn around and do something. He rolled a grenade across the floor over to me. I knew what he expected me to do. I bent down and picked it up off the floor. It was heavier than I thought it would be. With tears streaming down my face, I made my way to the edge of the roof. The cops saw me, and some started pointing at me. I hesitated for a moment. From the bullhorn, I could hear them saying things like, "It's going to be okay," and to wait for the police officers to get to me. I pulled the pin out of the grenade. "I'm so sorry." Without any warning, a large force pushed me off the roof of the building. I landed right in the fire and barely survived. I was rushed to the hospital and just became stable a few hours ago. They never found Pop Pop, and as far as I know, everyone thinks that I'm responsible for this. From killing and burning the principal, to shooting Olivia, to throwing that grenade, they think that I fucking did this. My heart was shattered in half when I saw that my own parents believed this story too. I tried to explain it to them. I tried telling them that Pop Pop made me do it, but nobody believed me. Not my parents, not the nurses, and not the police. I wanted to do everything in my power to convince them, find the proof, maybe hire a detective. But all my hope withered to nothing when I heard that Olivia succumbed to her wounds. I'd done all that for nothing. All those people died, and it didn't even save her life. Later that day, I limped to the roof of the hospital where I planned on jumping. I deserve this, I thought to myself. As I jumped off and felt the wind brush past my face, I whispered, "Why did you do this to me?"
Because that's just what I do.
Thank you so much for watching. Consider joining the Dark Circle on Patreon. If you donate $1 a month, you can get every story narration in MP3 format amongst other things. Also, feel free to support the channel by checking out the Teespring store or ordering my book. Thank you so much for your support, and don't forget to keep it creepy.